Hey, Paul here for Retro Gaming Arts, and today I want to talk about how to get into fixing, repairing, and customizing your own game consoles. If you've never done it before, if you've done it a few times, if you've done it 10 times, if you've done it 100 times, how to get more involved and more into it, and or to begin it. And there's two major things that are involved. And the first, and I would think the most important, that also applies to everybody, would be the perspective. And then after that, I'm going to talk about like kind of some opening kind of beginner style jobs and troubleshooting and things that will help give you a better understanding of how to move forward and do other projects. So the perspective, it all starts with why do you want to open up a game console? Or what reason do you need to open up a game console? For me, it started with the curiosity of how they worked. I just wanted to see what was inside of them. I don't know why, I just needed to know. So that led to me opening them up and seeing what it was and being like, wow. And then years went on, and then I was still curious, but what happened was my game console stopped working. And then I was like, oh my God, like I need to open it up and try to see if I can get it to work. So that was the second reason. And now that turned into not just my own game consoles, but then also doing that for other people. And then that's because I want their game consoles to work so they can enjoy these awesome games. And that even went to a fourth level, which was now we don't want these things to die or go extinct. So we have to take them apart, figure them out, get as many working as possible, switch to some newer parts or whatever it may be, so that more and more people can have these things and we can get them back into circulation so people can have access to them. So that was my reasoning for doing it in the first place. And it's a fun, cool, like awesome, like little hobby, I guess you would call it, or whatever is above hobby. I don't know. So that's the reasoning. And another side of the perspective is the knowledge side of it. And that is learning and then giving back the knowledge. And the purpose of that is maybe if you find a fix for something, if you're the only one who knows it, what good is that? That's only good to you fixing your consoles. How's that going to help somebody across the country or across the world fix theirs? So it's all about taking all the knowledge that you learn and then giving it out, and then acquiring more knowledge from experience and from asking people. I ask people every single day. I know a couple people that also do this. I ask them every single day. How do you fix a GameCube that doesn't output video? How do you fix a Sega CD with no power, or whatever the case may be? Like, just whatever the situation is, you just ask them. No power on a Sega CD? That's a fuse. You know what I mean? And then you learn that from asking people and from experience. And then the whole reason why I make the YouTube videos about how to do stuff like this is to give that knowledge back out. And that's one of my goals, is to take everything that I've learned and to give it back to anybody who may want to fix their own game console. So the information's there. And the biggest part about learning stuff and then giving it back is to help others fix their game consoles. And it's like, it reminds me of this quote where it was, I think it's from a famous movie from like the 20s, I'm not sure. The quote is, anything you can do, I can do better. I think that's Annie. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I have no idea. But that quote in itself is wrong. And let me tell you what that quote should be. That quote should be, anything I can do, you can do better. And that's the purpose. And that's my perspective, is I want to see somebody who knows more than me. I want to learn from them. I want to find people that know more than me so I can learn from them. I just said that practically twice, and that's what I do. And that's like, those are what my friends are. My friends know more about this than I do. And I'm constantly just asking them all the time, how do you do this? Do you know where to get this? Can I find this part, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what helps me grow. And then now I take all that information that I'm learning from them, and then I give that back to anybody else who wants it, via YouTube. That's the purpose, that's the goal, and it's having something like that keeps me going, and that's why I keep doing this, and that's the goal, that's the purpose. That's, you know what I mean? So it's taking things like that to fuel you to fix your own game consoles. And speaking of some good things, like let's say you've never opened up a game console, just open one up and then just put it back together. Just see how it's inside. But I bet you when you get inside, you're gonna be like, oh wow, this is dirty, I should clean it. And that's a great place to start, is just clean all your consoles. One, that's actually ends up causing them to not work. It's a big fix. A lot of consoles I get to fix, a lot of them just need to be cleaned. And there's all sorts of various different things, like cartridge slots. You may try to get in the cartridge slot of a console, but if you take it out, you can actually take the cartridge slot that's connected to the motherboard and you can actually remove it, and then you can clean the motherboard contacts, you can clean the pins on the cartridge slot, and you can put it back, and then it'll work. It's a better way to clean it, as opposed to just trying to clean inside the cartridge slot without opening it. And then you'll find it's just any console, just opening them up and cleaning them. It gives you excellent understanding of how to open them up. You get very familiar with the way that they're designed, the way that they work. You get to understand all the different motherboard revisions on the inside. Even though they all look the same on the outside, the motherboard revisions are always a little different, and you get to see that. You can be like, oh, that's cool. You know, because you'll see one motherboard that's this big, and then in another revision, it'll be much smaller, and you'll be like, wow. And then you get to see the engineers and the designers of these things, how they're growing as they're making more. And that's awesome. That to me, that's really cool to see. But in addition to just opening them up, cleaning them, that's the best way to start, because you'll start to see other little errors and other little issues, and then you'll be like, oh, this little piece is broken, like I need to replace that piece. And then you can source that piece and swap it in and out. And then that's how you can continue to learn more and grow. And then you'll take notes of whatever your findings are. Now on a lot of the old consoles, there's very basic things that just need to be replaced. A lot of them being capacitors and voltage regulators and fuses. Like you can just replace those, boom, they work again. That's a very common thing with disc-based systems. It's lasers. It's cleaning the laser. Laser gets dirty, can't see what's on the disc. Clean it, boom, it works. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's actually really easy, but if you don't open it in the first place, you won't find that it's easy. And if you don't open it if you don't want it to be clean in the first place, you don't open it. So that's why I say just open your consoles and clean them. Just whatever consoles you got hooked up, just be like, you know what? Every year or so, I'm going to open my consoles and I'm just going to clean each one. And then just by doing that, you're going to have a really good understanding of how to do it. And then anytime something gets fixed or broken, you can open it up, see what's wrong, troubleshoot it. It's a big thing, is just testing consoles over and over and over in all sorts of different situations, and taking notes, being like, okay, it powers on, I put the disc in, the disc doesn't spin, and there's nothing going to the TV. So you right there, you know, okay, at least it's getting power, but it's not getting power to the disc drive because the disc isn't spinning, and then which is causing the game not to play. And then so you can troubleshoot and figure out and isolate that problem. That's what it is. It's finding the problem and isolating it, and then knowing which components control that, wherever that error is in the console. And you just explore, and then you ask somebody, hey, I have this console, this isn't working in it, what are some possible things? And then most people will be very nice about telling you what it is. Very rarely have I ever asked somebody and they've just been like, not helpful. It's very rare that they're not helpful, or it's very rare that they're condescending. And I don't let that fear of somebody be condescending towards me not knowing something simple hinder me. And that actually goes back into the perspective, is that you can't let the fear of, oh, I'm asking a stupid question or I'm asking a dumb question. No question is ever a dumb question. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to know the answer, there's nothing wrong with that, with any question. But when somebody answers, you do have to have enough of a knowledge base of it to understand the answer. And if you don't understand the answer, you could just ask and be like, what does that mean? I do that. I do it all the time. So now I've only really just talked about the repair aspect of that. I haven't also talked about the modification aspect. A great way to get into doing modifications is just throw lights in everything. So I did. I still do that. Do it all the time. I love doing it. It's awesome. It gives it a nice personal touch. Just throw lights into stuff. It's very simple. It's very easy. All you need to do, you just need to find power in ground. You need to know how much power is there. You need a resistor to change the amount of power that's going to LED, and you need enough wire to locate the LEDs into the location that you want. And that's it. It's a very, very simple circuit, and you could put lights in anything you want. You could pop a light into, and it's fun, it's unique, it adds that personal touch, and it's awesome. And it's a great way to get into modifying and customizing, is just throw lights and stuff. So I hope this was helpful in some way, because that was the purpose of this, was to be helpful. And if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to ask in the comments on Facebook, email me. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I got you. I'll answer any questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll ask one of my friends who knows the answer, and then I'll tell you the answer, because that's what it's all about, is sharing this information. So if you like, if you want to know more detail about any specific topic that I've talked about here, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll go more in depth about, I'll show how I diagnose a console to figure out what's wrong with it or something like that. So thank you guys very, very much for watching. Thank you for all the support through all the different social media outlets and all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you next time.